In this video, I'll show you how to upload your product data to Google and Microsoft Merchant Center using the SFTP file upload method. This is a better method if you have a large store and you're changing product prices and availability a lot throughout the day and throughout the week. So I'll jump right in and start showing you how here. This is all in a guide that I've placed on our website. If you just visit the link in the description below, I'll give you this guide. I have all the information that I'm going to cover in this video, plus a checklist so that you can make sure that you've done everything, every step correctly. And I've shared screenshots so that there's no confusion as you do this. So this is a great resource to forward to a colleague or a coworker, or to use yourself if you prefer to use the checklist versus the video. So, all right, so in Google Merchant Center, that's where I'll start, and then we'll do Microsoft next. But for Google, I'll go to my Merchant Center account, I'll click Settings, Data Sources, and then I'll click Add a Product Source. And then I'll click Add Products from a File. And now normally I'll put a product data feed here, but the problem that you'll run into if you're changing your item prices and availability a lot throughout the day or throughout the week is that I can only set this schedule to upload or really to ingest the feed once every 24 hours, weekly or monthly. I don't have an option to do it every hour. And so let's say I've set this up just as an example. Let's say I've set this up to upload at 8 a.m., but I come into work on a Monday and I make some changes to the feed or to my product data in my store, and I make those changes, and then by the time I'm done, it's 9 a.m. Well, then I'll have missed 8 a.m., and so it won't upload until the next day. And then what will happen is I'll run into this problem where I have maybe different prices on the website versus what's in the data feed because I've made changes this morning that haven't been ingested by the feed. So you'll get this price, mismatched product price error, mismatched product availability. You'll get quite a few errors in here when that happens until the next day when the feed updates. And if there's one way to ensure that you're selling more on Google, it's to never have downtime with your products. So if you can have as little downtime with your products as possible, you're going to sell more. So this is really important to avoid this mismatched product price error as much as possible. So rather than coming back in here and changing this or manually updating the feed, that's another chore that you have to do. We'd rather avoid that. And so that's what the SFTP method is meant for. Whereas entering a link to the file, that option above, whereas that's more of a passive method where Google will wait until the next day to upload or to ingest data. The FTP method is a more active method where anytime the feed updates, that data will be sent to Google actively, and then Google will get the updated data as soon as you've made the change to your product data feed. So to do this, I'm going to use Data Feed Watch. That's the tool that we always use and I recommend. So I'm going to go into my shop, and if you don't use Data Feed Watch, your whatever feed provider you use will almost certainly have documentation on how to use the FTP upload. So, all right, so I have my Google channel here. So I'm going to click Edit Feed. Actually, I'm going to click Edit Channel. And then you'll see I've got under my channel settings, this was normally it's hidden, but I have this FTP connection filled out. And what this is I'm sending, I'm basically adding an address for Data Feed Watch to send all this product data to. And that address in Merchant Center is found here. So View SFTP and Google Cloud Storage Details. So I'll click that. And what I want is the server, the port, the username, and then the password. And then I'll skip the fingerprint. If you need the fingerprint, you'll know that you need it. Most of the time, you're just not going to need that, so you can skip it. So in my guide, I have a little cheat sheet. It's not a cheat sheet, but a place to record all this information. So when you come into your Merchant Center account, grab all this, copy it, copy the username, and then copy the password. You'll have to reset it if you can't see it. Well, you won't be able to see it, so you'll have to reset it. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to move all that over into Merchant Center, or sorry, into Data Feed Watch. But importantly, what I have to do here is put in a file name. It has to be the exact file name. And so I've written that down too. So I'm going to copy that, paste it here. And whether it's an XML or a CSV, you have to make sure that that file type is correct. So I have an XML file because that's what Data Feed Watch defaults to, although you could use a different file type. And I've placed all that here. So I have the file name exact, the username exact, the password I just replaced. So I'm going to paste that in here from my Notion note-taking area. And then note that here there's a couple options. You have to select the SFTP option, and then the partner upload, that address is followed by the port number, which is always 1932.1 for Google, with a semicolon in between. So that's how the address has to be formatted. You'll notice in Google, it shows the server and then the port separately. In fact, let me show you that in Google Merchant Center. So you have the server and the port separate, but in Data Feed Watch, you combine those two. And then it's a little bit different, again, for Microsoft Merchant Center. But for Google, this is correct. So I'm going to hit Continue. And now that I've hit Continue, I've basically created a container for that product data source in Merchant Center. And you can see the products wheel is spinning. So it's now expecting to receive data. I have to do this before I finish the process with Data Feed Watch because I have to have this open container ready to go. So in Data Feed Watch, I'm going to make a mistake just to show you what happens if something's pasted in wrong. So I'll click Update Channel, knowing that I made that little mistake there. And then I'll see an error here. And if you get that error, don't worry, it's just you've put in something incorrectly. So I'm going to fix that, and then I have to re-grab my password. So I'll grab that. So you can see why it's important to have everything written down, because there's a good chance you're going to have to grab it again. So now I'll hit Update Channel. Oh, and by the way, these other settings, passive mode, advanced options, just leave those unchanged. We don't need those. All right, so update. And now in Data Feed Watch, if it's worked correctly and it's found the container, it's found the Google server and port that's been prepared in your Merchant Center account, if it's found that, it'll just push you back out to the screen and it'll say channel OK. Another way you can know if it worked correctly is if you click this drop-down list, now you'll see FTP upload as an option. Whereas before you wouldn't have seen that. So, all right, so that's ready to go. So then on Google's side, I'll wait for the product data to come in, and this could take a long time or a little time depending on how many products are in your feed. I'll hit refresh and see if it comes in. Usually it's pretty quick. If not, just come back later. Once this has found the product data initially, the nice thing is that as soon as you make an update in Data Feed Watch or whatever your feed provider software is to, say, a handful of products, that data will, for that handful of products, will come in here within minutes, which is much faster than it comes in without using this FTP method, which is important because then it reflects in your Google ads quite quickly too. Now I can see the product data is in here, and I'm expecting 42 products. I got 42 products. There's an error here. I have previously uploaded this data through a different method, but that error will go away. So then if I go over into the product section, I'll actually see that product data right away. And it's all going to be not approved because this is a demo shop, it's not live, but if I click in, I can see everything that was in the feed, it's all uploaded. And if I look for the source, if I go back here, I can see the data source is that demo beach shop 3-feed XML. That's the file name that we had over here. So that right there. All right, so that worked. That's how we do it for Google. Let's do it for Microsoft next. So I'm going to go to my Microsoft Ads account, and I'll go to Merchant Center. And then within Merchant Center, you'll probably have to select your shop. I'm already in my shop. It's just blurred out. So now I'm in the feed section of the shop. So I can't show you how to get here, but it's straightforward. Once you get here, you'll find a feed or a list of feeds, and you can either create a new one or use the default one or use an existing one. So I'm going to click on Default Catalog, but you'll have about the same experience if you create a new one. I'll click Update Feed, and then just like in Google, I have to set all of the destinations that I want to use. So I'm going to add Canada in addition to the United States here. I want online product ads, not local inventory in this case. Currency, US dollar. And then I'll click Upload via FTP/SFTP. And just like with Google, I have to grab the server, the port, the password, and then the file name. File name, it defaults to one here. I'm just going to delete that. And then in my notepad, basically my notes section in the Notion file, I have a list of names to use, so I'm going to put that in here. And then I'll click on Change the FTP, SFTP account settings to see all that other info. So the server name and the port are right here just like before, but I'm not going to grab this whole thing. I just want that part, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to grab that, and then I'll paste that into my notes, being careful to not make any mistakes. The port 19321 again, but I'll paste that in just to be sure I have it. And then the username, I'm going to type in my username, I believe is what I used. And then I'll paste that there. And then for the password, I'll write this down and then I'll paste it over here because I don't want to lose that. So I'll click Submit. Oh, look, I have that already. So I'm going to change this to dash. Let's do 1, my username. Okay. And now I'll click Submit. And then I'll go back to Feeds, and I'll click back into this one, Update Feed. Oh, it looks like it didn't save Canada, so I'll put that back in. Add US dollar. I'll select Upload via FTP again. And then the file name, just like in Google, has to be exactly the same. So I'll just grab this that I wrote down earlier, and then I'll click Update Feed. And now that I've clicked Update Feed, it's a empty container waiting for us to send data to. So I'll go back to Data Feed Watch. I'll click the drop down, Edit Channel, and I'll take all that information and put it in here again. So you'll notice I didn't take the whole server name. I have an example in the guide here. You'll see under the Microsoft section, SFTP, and then / SFTP.ads. So we don't need that whole thing. We just have to make sure we have SFTP selected here, and then we'll put in the port, like with Google, and I'll grab my username, and then I'll grab my password, and then I'll grab the file name. And then, like before, I'll leave passive mode and then advanced options unchanged. And let's see if this works. Okay, yep, looks like it worked. So it sent that, and I can tell because it pushed me to this screen, and I see FTP upload here. And then, unlike Google, this takes quite a while. And so I won't wait here and wait for it to update live. If I refresh it, it won't have anything. So normally I'll wait a couple hours and come back to this. But once this is done, now I can upload my product data on the fly with any updates that I make throughout the day, and I don't have to manually refetch the data within either Merchant Center account. As soon as I make a change here, it'll make that change and push it to either or both Merchant Center accounts. So now that we've set this up, there's an important consideration. If I make any changes in the feed here, say for example I make a mistake while changing the feed, it'll push that mistake directly to Google Merchant Center or Microsoft. And so now we're playing with fire a little bit, because I could, for example, put in the wrong price across all my products on accident, and then as soon as I hit save, it'll upload that to the those platforms. So just as an example, let's say I am editing my product link or something and I accidentally click the wrong button, MPN, and then I click save, what'll happen is that's obviously wrong. We don't want to submit the MPN for the link, but what's happening now is it's processing. So if I go back, I'll see this is processing and it's going to push that incorrect data to Merchant Center. And so to avoid that, when my team and I manage these, we click pause channel. And now if I go in here and if I make a mistake, I get a chance to check that in the channel product section, and whichever feed tool you use, you'll have an opportunity to check this. But so once I make my changes, I'll take a look at everything in here after it's processed. And then if it all looks good, then I'll unpause the channel. So let me go back and fix that. MPN, this was the link. We'll set that straight. Go back here. And then I'll unpause the channel. And then that will push to the Merchant Center. Okay, and so then once I'm totally satisfied with the feed data, I can either wait for it to upload on its own, which it will do if you unpause the channel, or I can click FTP upload right there and make it happen anew. All right, so that's it. To use this method, it's just important to note that you don't want to make mistakes in the feed. So pause the channel, then send the data over, because it's going to update it immediately. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps, and good luck advertising.